So how much pushback have you gotten in rolling this out with other organizations at the executive level, the C-suite level?
Zero. So I've done it 4 times now with different organizations of different sizes. And so what it does is, for me, what it has enabled me to do is get to some of the hard things by using some data.
Okay.
Right, by putting a kind of a foundation and formation around it. Because so often people come to me saying, hey, we need sales training. And a lot of the times for me, it's like, no, you don't need sales training, you need the leadership training. Because your sales managers or your sales leaders are not doing the things they need to do to hold people accountable and focus on the behaviors and reinforcement, et cetera.
So what would you do if, from an internal perspective, if we're over in the last 2 columns, some direct sales and some management, does it take an outside advisor to get to the C-level, or is there something to do internally to get this up the food chain?
Well, I would say it comes back to the pain, right? How important is that in the organization? Kind of to that point as well, what I recommend is, as you fill out the survey, have different layers do it. And kind of look at a gap analysis, right? So have your salespeople fill it out, see what they say. Have them evaluate all the entire matrix. Have your C-suite fill it, have everybody fill it up, and then see where the gaps are. Because oftentimes, you think you're doing something good, but you're not. And then so I might score it as a 4, but everybody else is scoring it as a 1 or a 2, right? So it just allows us to kind of weed out some of the outliers.
I always get so nervous with that. I just wanted to say that it's awesome that you actually mentioned common language here, because I think it was the first time that it was really brought up in anything that I saw today. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of CRM implementation, and that's usually where I start. Because I think there's a huge psychological shift that happens when somebody's using the word lead versus prospect versus client, and then using them interchangeably. Because the actions and the behaviors that we're doing with those names are completely different.
Sure.
So if you're not having common language, a lot of this falls apart. So I really just want to say that's awesome that you actually use common language.
Thank you. Other thoughts, questions?
First of all, thank you. This is really exciting and also daunting. When you've completed this exercise, is it always with a leadership team of the C-suite, or leadership and C-suite? And if that's the case, would you also suggest maybe bringing members of the sales team into this discussion to help rate internally?
Yes, absolutely. The first time I did it with the client I was talking about, we started with the C-suite. We started with the C-suite and the leadership team at once. Then we went out after the fact and polled the sales folks as well, just to kind of get some of their perspective. And then moving forward, since I've done it, I want every layer to be able to answer the survey to get the broader perspective.
So I think there needs to be an element of sales culture throughout the organization. How do you branch this method into those other individual contributors that are in different departments or parts of the organization?
Sure. So there's 2 things I would say to that. Number 1, when you look at ML&C, the management, leadership, and C-suite, I intentionally didn't have it say sales management, sales leadership, because that can be anybody. It could be marketing leadership, it could be marketing management, right, that applies. And then I've thought about this as well, to put it potentially a 3rd column, which could be anyone else, or anybody, right? It could be customer service, it could be operations, or whatever it may be, because when we talk about culture, culture should apply to everybody, right? So there's an opportunity to kind of adapt this to make sure that it is brought across the organization.
Thank you for watching this highlight video from the Sandler Summit. You can join us for the next Sandler Summit in 2024, March 19th and 20th at the Orlando World Center Marriott. Register now at sandler.com/summit.